Here we go. Fill this place with the praise of the God of all grace. Lift him high, glorify the Ancient of Days. Oh, you saints, lift your voice, lift your hands and rejoice. God is here. Fill this place with praise. Hey, let's stand and sing it one more time. Here we go. Fill this place with the praise of the God of all grace. Lift him high, glorify the Ancient of Days. Oh, ye saints, hey, that's you. Lift your voice, lift your hands and rejoice. God is here. Fill this place with praise.
The King of Glory, the shepherd and keeper of our hearts, is also the rock upon which our entire existence rests.
All that we are or ever hope to be is wrapped up in the beauty and grace of our Lord and Savior, Jesus.
This beautiful one, who deserves all honor, glory, and praise, draws us close.
The one whose breath creates life sees fit to call us beloved, friend, partner, and child.
How magnificent, how utterly unimaginable are his love and mercy. There is no other name in all existence that deserves every ounce of our tear-drenched devotion. He alone is God.
And let's all read this together. The unchanging one who saves, delivers, and does miracles every day. This is who we worship. Almighty, most holy God, faithful through the ages. Almighty, most holy Lord, glorious Almighty God. The beasts of the field, the birds of the air, are silent to call out your name. The earth has no voice, and I have no choice but to magnify God unashamed. Let the rocks be kept silent for one your name. Let the whole world sing out, let the people say, Almighty, most holy God, faithful through the ages. Almighty, most holy Lord, glorious Almighty God. Well, time marches on with the innocence gone, and a darkness has covered the earth. His Spirit still dwells, he speaks, it is well, and the hopeless still offer new birth. He will break the leash of death, it will have no sting. Let the prisoner go free, join the dance and sing. Almighty, most holy God, faithful through the ages. Almighty, most holy Lord, glorious A pilgrim was I and a wandering. In the cold night of sin I did roam. When Jesus the kind shepherd found me, and now I am on my way home. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. He restoreth my soul when I'm weary. He giveth me strength day by day. He leads me beside the still waters. He guards me each step of the way. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. When I walk through the dark lonesome valley, my Savior will walk with me there, and safely His great hand will lead me to the mansions He's gone to prepare. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Be not dismayed, whate'er betide, God will take care of you. Beneath His wings of love abide, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day or all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. Through days of toil when heart doth fail, God will take care of you. When danger scares your path assail, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day or all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. No matter what may be the test, God will take care of you. Lean weary one upon His breast, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day or all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. You know, somebody told me once that in the Bible, there are 365 times that it says, fear not. So isn't it great that God makes a way? And why not? He's our way maker. Sing with us. You are here. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. That is who you are.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2. Good morning, everyone. We're glad to be able to come to you today by way of video. And I hope that you have enjoyed our song service that we're attempting to do up to this point. I also had planned to have a slideshow that I would be able to look at here, but I'll be looking at it on my phone. And Keith, our technology genius, he may be able to get it in whenever we do it. So we are pre-recording this, and we'll try to show it at the live time. Today I want to talk to you about the loving way to a successful marriage. Now, we've had Valentine's Day this past week, and some of you got to go out and eat. Some of you have been gorged on chocolate. And so today was Love Sunday, and we were going to wear red. So I did dig out a red shirt, or Rhonda got it for me. And we are talking about Love Sunday. And today I want to talk to you about the loving way to a successful marriage. 6 keys to marital bliss. The loving way to a successful marriage. 6 keys to marital bliss. And we're going to look in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and the last verse and the last part of the last verse, which says, the greatest of these is love. So this morning we're going to be going through, this is a topical sermon on the topic of love. And we're going to be talking about the loving way to a successful marriage. And before I get into it any further, though, I want to talk to you about marriage and camping. And I want to bring up my attempt to convert Rhonda to a love of camping. And whenever I grew up, my mom and dad went camping quite often. They had some friends that lived not far from us, and major holidays, we would go to different places camping. We started out with tents, and really liked that because I was young enough to like that. And then later on, mom and dad, they got a little camping trailer, and we liked that too. And so we went to many, many different states whenever I was growing up in that little camping trailer. Now, Rhonda said that her family never went camping. She always does that with a flourish. And so she was not raised the same way I was. Now, I will say this, that she went camping with me on several different occasions. We lived in Texas, and we were moving back to Illinois. And so we quit our jobs a week early, and we made a little tour around through Texas. And we stayed in a tent that time. We got sunburned the first day. And we were on the one side of the state of Texas, and we drove over to the other side. And that night, the ground was so hard that the tent stakes bent. We had to use a cooler to hold down a corner of the tent. And we were sunburned and we were kind of miserable in that. But we did have a good trip as far as what we got to see before we left. Well, that was one experience with camping. And I remembered that experience. And then we had 4 children after that. And I decided that I wanted us to all have a wonderful camping trip. And on this camping trip, I was going to convert Rhonda to a love of camping. Well, we had an old pickup truck and we had our tent stored in that. I don't know if some of the kids rode in the back of that truck on that trip or not. I think they might have all been up front with us. And this was the day before seatbelt laws. We were ancient, right? Well, anyway, we were going to go to Cherokee. Was that North Carolina or South Carolina? Whichever one it is, that's where we were going. And on the way, I had a plan to stay at a state park. But that wonderful truck I was telling you about, it died. And we were coasting along, and there was a gas station. And I coasted into the gas station. And I looked up, and it had a sign that said mechanic on duty. And so the Lord was rescuing us from that little bit of a problem that we had right there. And so the mechanic came and he got it fixed, and it took about an hour to get it fixed. So now we were behind time on my perfect schedule that I had figured out. We got back in the truck and we started out of town, and I knew we were not going to make it to that campground. And I looked up and I saw a sign, and it had 3 letters of the alphabet, if you get my drift. And it said $8. And then there was a sign not far from it, and it said Holly Springs, $7. And I thought, well, we will save $1. So we took off toward Holly Springs, and we just about gave up, thought we had missed the turn. And then there was a sign, and it said Holly Springs ahead. And we kept on going. We gave up, and then we turned again because there was another sign, and it said Holly Springs. This time the road turned to gravel. And then we came to a place, and it had a nice field, and it went uphill, and it was covered in luscious green grass, and up at the top it leveled off, and I could tell that that's where the campsites were. And then it went on up farther, up the side of a mountain. Well, there should have been some things that clued me in. One was we pulled up at the top of that leveled off place, and this guy came with kind of scruffy looking guy, came driving up on a golf cart, and he said, I'm the one you give the money to. So I went ahead and gave it to him. And then I said, hey, I want that extra $1. I want electricity for our campsite. So then we went on down and found a spot. He told us we could pick anyone we wanted. We were not far from a little bubbling brook. And kids and I, we got the tent set up. I wanted Rhonda to do as the least amount as possible. So I had a lawn chair. I remember I had her stationed in that. She had her feet propped up on the cooler. I cooked a gourmet meal of hot dogs. What could be better? And then we went into the tent. The sun was going down. And we thought about that peaceful scene, the luscious green grass and the little bubbling brook that we could hear in the distance. And then the sun went farther down. And all at once we heard something go splat. And I knew it was a drop of water that hit the top of the tent. And then we heard some thunder. And then there was lightning in the distance. And then it was raining harder on the tent. And then there was another splat, but this time it wasn't on the top of the tent. It was on the tent floor down between Rhonda and our youngest daughter, Rita Beth, who was a baby at that time. And I had read one time that you could correct a problem like that in a tent if you would just reach up and touch the drop and run it down the ceiling to the wall of the tent. And so I did, and it worked for about 2 minutes. And then about 2 inches away from the wall of the tent, the water was continuing to go down to the wall of the tent, but about 2 inches away, part of that water dripped from there. And every 2 inches, there was drips going along that path. And then there were other holes that were in the tent. And then we could hear the thunder, and we could feel that rain coming. And you know that little bubbling brook? It sounded like it was becoming a roaring, raging river. And I was thinking, I wonder if I'm converting Rhonda to a love of camping. And I knew I was not. Well, it went on, and it rained worse, and there were more leaks in the tent. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard the truck door slam. Now, I will have to say that door really was hard to close. I wouldn't accuse anyone of being angry. But the truck door slammed, and I looked over, and Rhonda was no longer there. And neither was Rita Beth, the baby. And the rest of us were in there. And to add to the misery, it was getting wet all inside the tent. And I heard that stream, and I was wondering if it was going to come out of the banks. And I looked up toward heaven, and I said, Lord, are we really going to live through this night? Well, the next day, it finally had quit raining. The sun came out, but the tent was all wet, and we were not going to spend another night in that tent. And I certainly had not converted Rhonda to a love of camping. But as we think about this, I want us to think about the loving way to a successful marriage. Now, I heard one time that there was one thing that couples that had good marriage, what they had all done, they had gone camping at some time in their marriage. And it was because they learned how to overcome the adversities of camping. And so we'll think some about the parallels of camping and marriage. But the first key to marital bliss and to a successful marriage is the principle of leaving. Now, I actually have a book that I've written, shameless plug, 21 Ways the Principle of Leaving Will Benefit Your Marriage. Well, now on the back of that book, I say, what? You want me to leave? I thought this was a book about marriage, not divorce. And that's exactly right, because that leaving is a play on words. But whenever you leave, and the scripture tells us in Matthew chapter 19, verse 5, that we are to leave our father and mother and cleave to our wives. Husbands and wives, both are to leave and to cleave to each other. And then they become one flesh. So the principle about leaving, well, to death, till death do us part, sounds romantic until you realize it's less about love and more about a legally binding escape clause. One man said, after 30 years of marriage, I told my wife I was leaving. She didn't even look up from her book. She just said, well, take the dog with you. He likes you better. Well, they say in marriage, never to go to bed angry. One man said, that's why I've been awake since 2017. Well, anyway, leaving. There should be some leaving going on whenever you get married. You have to leave your old flames behind. And you should leave fantasizing about that and all the good times you may have had before you got married, but you need to leave those things behind. You need to leave your baggage behind. Now, that's something that may take forever for you to be successful about, but you do need to be working on the things that you brought into the marriage that we would consider to be a certain amount of baggage that came to us. One man said, "If you ever leave me, I'm going with you." And I guess that's a way to make marriage work. But there should be some leaving going on. You should leave your father and mother. Now, sometimes, for whatever reason, you may have to stay in the house with some of your parents, hopefully temporarily, for just a very short period of time. But there needs to be that mental leaving. In the past, you have depended upon your parents for all kinds of things. In the past, you have gone to your parents for advice. In the past, you've done all of that. Now you need to transfer that dependence from your parents to your spouse. There are some advantages to not living close to where your parents live right after you get married, or disadvantages too, but there are some advantages. You have to learn how to depend upon each other. There should be a mental leaving, leave the past behind, and forge out a new future together. Well, then the second thing is the principle of overcoming. Now, marriage is all about overcoming challenges. Now, I want you to use your imagination for just a minute. Imagine your restroom, your bathroom at your house. You go back in and there's a little spindle with a roll of paper on it. Now, I ask you the question, there's that spindle. Does the paper go over the top and hang down in the front? Or does it go over the top and hang down in the back? Which way does it go? Many times whenever I do this with a live audience, I will see heads nodding yes whenever I talk about it one way or the other. Some people are just sitting there, but others are emphatically nodding their head yes, as that it should hang over the top in the front. And others are just as emphatically saying it should hang over the back and hang down the back. Now, one time at a church that I was pastoring, we had a meal, and we had a Sunday school teacher, and he had a strong preference about how the paper towel roll should be. So we looked over at the sink, and it was the way he wanted it. It was over the top, and it was pulled down behind it. Well, I was looking at that with a little bit of amusement because Rhonda prefers it to go over the top and hang down the front. Now, fortunately, it didn't matter to me. And so I could gain some brownie points in that I'm just doing it her way because that's the way she wants it. But anyway, I was looking over there. Well, it was hanging down the back because the Sunday school teacher had been over there before. And Rhonda worked in the kitchen there a little bit, and I was sitting there, and I looked up there, and I saw the paper towel roll was turned around, and it was hanging down from the front. And so I just kind of chuckled a little bit, and I thought, I wonder if Rhonda did that. And then I looked over at the Sunday school teacher, and I noticed he looked up there, and he looked sort of like that. And then later on, he got up, and he went over there, he turned it around through the back. And before we left, it was still hanging down the front because Rhonda did more work in the kitchen than he did. Well, you have preferences about different things. What about toothpaste tubes? In the old days, the toothpaste tubes were, they stayed how you squeezed them. Now, toothpaste manufacturers, by putting toothpaste in plastic tubes, have saved many marriages. But some people really want it to be squeezed from the bottom and evened out, and then that way you get it all as it comes out through the front. Now, I kind of had the preference of doing it that way. Rhonda didn't care. She could squeeze it in the middle. And we had some relatives that gave us a thing for Christmas one time, and it said marriage saver. And what it was a thing that you had the toothpaste tube and it went over it like a clip, and then you rolled it up, which would be doing it my way, right? But anyway, we have those preferences and we have our differences. And one of the things that we need to understand is that men and women are different. They even think differently. There was a book that was written, it's called Men Are Like Waffles and Women Are Like Spaghetti. And what it means that the waffles are all these little boxes, and the men like to be in a box, a single box at a time. That means they can focus well whenever they do that. Whenever they're involved in a conversation, they like to be talking about one box at a time. And I'm told that there's a division in our brains, and in men and women, one of them it's thicker and the other one is smaller. That makes it easier for the ladies to jump from one side of the brain to the other and come back and forth. The men have trouble doing that. And so they like to be in little boxes. But from what the Will and Pam Farrell say, that the women view all of life as connected. That's why they can multitask well. They can be fixing dinner, and they can have a baby in one arm, and they can be organizing the kitchen drawer all at the same time. A great mystery to us men. But anyway, and communication, it's like spaghetti. So they can be talking about the beginning and the end and keep it all sorted out. A man has trouble figuring out where we are in this journey. My advice to men, though, is when you're having a conversation, get ready to go on the journey. And it will pay great dividends if you will just follow it, because eventually you'll see the big picture too. And women, when you're talking to us men, if we seem to be a little confused of where we are in this process, you might clue us in a little bit about where it is, because we think there's a line and it's going along there. But for you, it might be a journey like this. Now, I will have to say that Rhonda's really good about keeping me in the conversation where it is. I usually can really understand her really well, but some men can't understand their wives. But we need to understand that we're different and we can overcome our differences and celebrate them. Well, somebody said that we've overcome so much together, sickness, health, and the biggest test of all, assembling furniture without filing for divorce. Or we've been married so long, we've overcome every argument, mostly because we can't remember what we were talking about to begin with. Well, the third key is that of valuing. One person said, I treasure my spouse, especially when they're asleep and not asking me where I put things. Or marriage teaches you patience, like when your spouse tells a story and you know they left out the most important part. but you stay quiet. True love is about valuing your spouse enough to share your fries. And then someone added, but only the small ones. Valuing, we should value each other. We should treasure each other. Some marriage ceremonies have the word cherish in it. And I like that, of being able to cherish our spouse. I love it whenever my wife cherishes me, and I attempt to cherish her. There was an apostle whose name was Barnabas. You had the Apostle Paul, and you had Barnabas. Barnabas wasn't a member of the 12, but he was called an apostle. But anyway, Paul and Barnabas went together on a mission trip, and Barnabas wanted to take his young relative Mark along with him. And so Paul agreed to that. Well, somewhere along the journey, Mark decided he was not going to finish, and he left. That left a bad taste in Paul's mouth. Later on, they finished that journey. They decided to go on another one. And this time, Barnabas said, let's take Mark with us. And Paul said, no, he deserted us on the last one. And Barnabas said, we ought to give him another chance. And Paul was adamant that they were not going to do that. The Bible says that the contention was so great among them that they could not complete that trip. They just couldn't get over their difference of opinion. Barnabas was an encourager. And so Paul and Silas went on that trip. And Barnabas and Mark also went and visited some other churches. Now the story continues mostly with Paul and Silas as you finish the book of Acts. But later on, I think it's in the book of 1 Timothy or 2 Timothy, Paul is writing to someone and he said, send Mark because he is profitable to me. They got over their differences before and their contentions, all because Barnabas did not give up on Mark. And he built him up and he encouraged him. And Paul needed him later on and wanted him to be with him later on. And then Mark even wrote one of the Gospels. Mark knew Peter so well. Some people say that the Gospel of Mark is almost like the Gospel of Peter. But valuing, we value each other. We should encourage each other. There should be, I think there's an old TV program said, Queen for a Day. Well, husbands, we would do well to try to make our wives feel like a queen every day. I know I fail miserably at that, but I want to do that because I really do value my wife. And I know that she loves me and she encourages me and values me. Well, then the next thing is intimacy. Now we should focus upon intimacy. Leighton Ford was a brother-in-law to Billy Graham, I think, or he was related to him some way. He was a good evangelist, and we heard him speak one time. And he said, if you see a marriage that has some problems in it, you'll find that those problems are in one of three areas. Either in leaving, which we already mentioned, or in cleaving, or in becoming one flesh. That one flesh there speaks of a physical aspect of marriage. So I want to be tasteful in talking about this today, but physical intimacy is also associated with a more common word that starts with S and ends with X. If you get my drift, we're talking about that. that is very important in marriage, that you have this intimacy, both physical and then later on spiritual, and to come together and become one, focusing on that intimacy. Now, before marriage, you can't keep your hands off each other. After marriage, you hear move over, you're hugging the blanket. Or love language matters. My spouse's is physical touch. Mine is 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And they say men think about this every 7 seconds. Meanwhile, the wife is thinking about whether we need more throw pillows. So, the secret to a happy marriage, knowing that sometimes not tonight means maybe next month. But we need to realize that is an important area of life. And then the next one is that of needs, focusing upon our needs. One time we did a ladies seminar at Freeman Chapel, Free Will Baptist Church, whenever I was pastor there, and Rhonda, some of the ladies got together and they invited a friend of ours to come and speak at this marriage retreat and a ladies seminar, like it was at the church. And then Rhonda did a workshop, and she did her workshop, and she talked about a list of needs that men and women felt. And the book that she had read said that the, yes, Terry Lynn, I'm okay. I saw that you came up and did that. This list of needs. And anyway, Rhonda mentioned and quoted this author and said, do you know what the man's number one need is? And then she indicated it was that of the last point, that of physical intimacy, of that type of fulfillment. Well, she, during a break, heard some of the ladies talking, and they said, yeah, she's right. They're just animals. But another thing was, after this seminar, we had a meeting at church, and some of the ladies got up and talked about how it was good. And then one of the men stood up and he said, well, I don't know what happened during this seminar, but it's like that I have a new wife. Now, we don't know what he was referring to there, but she did blush a little bit. And, but we need to find our needs that our spouse has. And in one marriage seminar that we did, we had a list of 10 felt needs that authors have identified. And we had that list, and then we handed out these little cards to the husbands and the wives, and they independently went through and listed their number one need, their number two, and so forth down to 10. And then we had asked them to trade the cards. And it was sort of eye-opening to them. So we need to realize that we each have needs. And we need to be aware of those and to do our best to meet those needs. And then we realize, as good as we are, we cannot meet our spouse's needs completely. And that's why the Lord Jesus is in a song. It says, He's all I need. He's all I need. He ultimately is the one who can meet our needs. But that doesn't let us off the hook. We ought to be doing our best to try to meet our spouse's needs too. Well, the last one is that of giving. We should be willing. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2.